Mini Project by Ethan Cherry. Here we have the crime stream data map that shows the different properties associated with the module state crime. Under state crime, we have data, state, and year. State is a string, year is an integer. Under data, we have population, rates, and totals. Population is an integer, rates and totals are then grouped into smaller properties. So we have property crime and violent crime under rates and totals as two separate categories, and then underneath each property and violent we have the specific crimes that are associated with them. So for example, property crime has burglary, larceny, and motor, and all those three combined, and violent has assault, murder, rape, robbery, and then all those four combined into all, which all of these properties are floats. Abstraction. An abstraction is a representation of a real-world entity that conveys information. In this project specifically, we're going to use information from the crime statistics in the state of Virginia in the United States that was recorded from 1960 to 2012. The variables that will be used to answer the questions are time, property crime rates, violent crime rates, and state. Limitations. Limitations on the abstraction is that this data set only provides information regarding violent crime and property crime, not all possible crimes that could have data associated with them. Completeness. We have data on all reported crimes, but there are also many other crimes that are not reported or recorded, so we don't have data for those crimes, just crimes that are reported. For precision, for population, we don't have any demographic data, so gender, age, race, those things aren't listed, and those could be important depending on the stakeholder. And then under complexity, we do not know the details or specifics of each crime that has been reported here, so we can't go into major details on specific crimes. We just know what they're categorized as, and that's pretty much it. Under structure, the amount of detail within rates and totals categories of the data set have a lot of different instances and properties that can make it difficult and pretty tedious to access. Question. Is there a trend between the total population and the number of violent crimes over time? Here's my visualization to answer that question, and from this visualization we can say that yes, there is a clear positive trend between the total population and the total number of violent crimes. We can see from this graph that as the population increases up to, I believe this says 200 million, the amount of violent crimes has exponentially increased over time. Social impacts. Law enforcement would be interested in looking at this data in order to keep communities and states safe. People who are looking to move into the new state would be interested in this data to know if the state that they're moving to is generally pretty safe. These people won't have access to specific neighborhoods, just the state as a whole. Insurance companies may have to change policies for states with a higher crime rate or vice versa. So insurance companies and rates in one state may differ from another. The federal government or state governments may look at data in certain states with regard to violent and property crime to make decisions on creating new laws and legislation to help combat those types of crimes. Also, businesses and large corporations and companies will look at this data to weigh the pros and cons of opening new stores or businesses in that state. If the state has a typically high number of property crime or violent crime, they may look elsewhere to promote their business in large companies. Conclusion. The question that was proposed was to find out whether or not population has a correlation with the number of violent crimes. Based on the results shown, one can see that there is a relationship between the population and the total number of violent crimes. We saw from the graph that as the population increased to about 200 million, the number of violent crimes was followed it exponentially. So we can definitely see that there is a clear relationship between population and violent crime.